All right. Little interstage left or right. I don't know whatever one that was, but I'm using stationary cameras today. Because once again, I'm the last man standing, and it is Friday, which can only mean one thing. That's why you're seeing my jovial, charismatic personality here for you here on YouTube. But it's Functional Friday, guys, and happy Friday, and I hope you guys have a weekend. Let's get those formalities out of the way first. So today's installment or episode or whatever you want to call it is, I've said this before, man. I always have this disclaimer that I hate to get Lenny McGill on you guys, but and with that said, I'm not discrediting Lenny McGill when I say that. I think the civilian market would not be anywhere near where it is without that gentleman and what he's done, for the industry with the Glock store and all that stuff. So don't take it as disrespect. A lot of guys out there kind of have this, used car salesman esque kind of like whatever you think of him is whatever. But the point is, like, give credit where credit's due. All right. I remember watching his videos. I can't even remember. It was like the one with Rob Latham and I think Brian Enos was in it. It was a VHS tape, ages ago. So, there's a history there that should be respected, and a lot of young guys don't have that respect in the industry for things these days. So, if your daddy didn't teach you right, I am right now. But anyway, so enough with that. So basically what I'm going to be doing today is, it's been forever since I've done a trigger installation. And like I've alluded to in some of my other videos, that there's a ton of new gun users right now, and with that is a lot of people that really don't have the background that that it takes to really let me start over with that. I'm putting this video up because I want people to feel very confident while installing my products. How about that? I just had to change it up there before I got a little bit too winded of myself. But that's basically it. Safety has always been my game. I'm going to go over some of the new products that I have out there. I'm going to install a trigger, kind of show you guys what comes with the kits, the two kits. And like I do have the hybrid, but I'm going to kind of leave that one out of this one right now. But at the same time, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be interjecting as much knowledge and wisdom as I can along the way about things you ever hear the saying, like, if you can predict it, you can prevent it, kind of stuff like that. So a lot of telltale stuff that when you do open up your gun, or some little tests that you can do to your gun prior to installing anything new. It doesn't have to be my trigger. It can be if you're building changing things out in your Poly 80 or whatever, or if you have another competitor's trigger or something like that. It's just for that whole thing, so the whole thing ends up to safety and knowledge for the community, and it's all going to be good. It's going to be good stuff. So like I said, I'm last man standing, so it's all stationary cameras today. So I'm basically going to have to switch in Johnny Glock fashion modes, and I'm also going to move this. Scott Quick right there. Quick draw defense. I don't know if he's ever formally introduced him.
Video before.
No, just spine in there, but yeah, this is Scott. I ran off of Scott here in the back. It's been a relationship. It's been a great relationship, family,
we
brotherhood.
Love our Johnny Glocks.
Here you go, man. Little cameo by the owner never helps. All right, so I'm switching this one over. And I hope to God this is in the right position here for you guys seeing it right side up. I guess it doesn't matter because it's all, you see where that thing, okay, so it's lower, so I'm gonna try, see if it spins. No, we're locked in. Okay, so I just had to double check, guys. I do not want to do like a 45-minute or a half. Plus, timing's good today. It's only a couple minutes after 2. And have the whole thing backwards and then not be able to post it. So I'm just going to grab 2 of my triggers here just so you can see the differences in the kits. What's going on behind the scenes. So basically, like I said, we're going to go over the combat first. So when you get the combat, why am I sticking on this? See, I had to make it hard and put this nice little thing up here so I looked very professional. Another thing I want to mention right now, the directions to adjusting this are on the back of this card. So if there's anything that needs adjusted, you're going to find it on there. Now, there is no pre-travel on this or the newer shoe that I have now either. All of these are set screw installed. So basically both this and this are set screws, so you can, it's for maintenance, for ease of maintenance and installation if you just buy the shoe. But there is no pre-travel adjustment on there. So when you do get this and you see that this is missing, this screw right there, that is because that is only for the 43s. With the 43 variants, I just do not have enough meat in the back of the housing right here to properly set a screw in there without it being problematic. I've learned that over time. So basically, for the 43 variants, you will have the set screw for over travel in the back of the metal shoe. If it's a standard 43 OEM, you'll have it back like that. Okay, just so you know, like I said, because it's a lot easier to put the over travel adjustment here than in the back of the housing. It's a little bit more of a pain in the ass to adjust, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to roll my sleeves up here. At the end of the day, it's more efficient, and I don't want things moving on you, especially in a combat setup. So, of course, you get the trigger in the trigger assembly right here, the whole assembly. You don't have to, everyone's like, do I have to order a connector with this? No, you don't. You don't have to order a connector. It comes with it. It's a full assembly kit. So that means the entire assembly is here. And like I said, the directions are right on here. So if you're having problems with it, and it's all pretty much, you know, written down there for you in plain English. If you're having issues, you can usually, you know, without having to reference my YouTube channel, that'll kind of walk you through what's going on. So the same thing with the, you know, in these kits right now, that's the difference for the combat kits. They're coming with the standard. If you order flat face, it's the standard JG flat face metal shoe. I'll explain why I'm using this one on this. It's always been the go-to on that metal shoe. The metal shoes now on the competition kits have been switched over to, and this reflects on the website. It's been this way for a minute since the Legacy has come out. Has been the Legacy shoe with the hook and that. And that'll be, I'll explain more about that and why I did that a little bit further into the video. Okay, so and these are all, let me set these right here. I just got the waiver stuff on the back, all that. So these are, as it says here, system specific. So when you're not going to get all 3 of these. You're going to get the ones that are specific to the system. Okay, so basically with the combat kit, what's specific to the system is the combat springs, which are 4.5 and 5 pound. And then with the competition kit, what's comes with this is the 4.5 and 4. Okay, bish. And then of course you have your, you know, the competition kit has its specific firing pin safety and reduced safety plunger spring, and then the combat kit has its, I might have set this, okay, there it is, its specific safety plunger and its reduced safety plunger spring as well. And then if you get one of the strikers, you know, that come, like right now I'm out of 43 and Gen 5s. The only ones I have right now are these 1 through 4s, and that's for 1045s and for you know, 357 gap, 40 cal, and 9mm. I guess I probably should have said 9mm first. All right, so I'm gonna get this all away. So that's basically what comes with the kits. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install a combat kit quickly, and we're going to install a competition kit. But I want to go over a few things first. Okay, clear gun. Check that. When you're, I'm going to put this up just a little bit. Okay, make this easier. Your slide. Before you even take this apart, you can see this is a very dirty gun. Like you guys know, my guns are dirty. The first thing you're going to want to do is you can try to do this little test like that to see if this is going to slide down. And I'll get it closer here on its own. See how that slides down on its own? That's what you're looking for. Now, basically, you know, you can shake the gun after the gun fires, and that tells you too. So that's the kind of mobility you're looking for out of this function right here. You really want it to be free. That's very, very important, and I'll explain it to you later. Let's grab this other slide here that I'm, once again, magazine. I'm going to do this one as well. So I'm going to push in the firing pin. Oh, now see how that doesn't go? That doesn't want to really drop. It's telling me that it's probably a little bit dirty in there. See, it's just not wanting to drop. A little bit dirty. I'm going to want to pay attention to this when I switch this gun. I got another one of mine over here. So once again, let's see if this one is probably a very dirty gun too. Okay. That one just dropped. You hear it? Just drops right down in there. That's what you want. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the one that isn't working the best, because with this, and I'm going to tell you guys, you're going to want to get, you know, you're always going to want to have on hand an extraction and insertion tool, because the firing, the channel liners are a big deal, you know, with these guns. See if I have like a bunch of them right here. I like to, especially the Gen 5s, they're always wiggling around. So another, this is a Lone Wolf, the white one. I really like them a lot. It seems to be a lot more glass in this polymer mixture or something. I don't even know. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be a little bit more resilient. This mats up and scrapes up very easy, where this has a little bit more longevity to it. And these actually install very, very well and snug in the Gen 5s, where I'm sure a lot of you with the Gen 5s, you'll go to pull it out and it just comes right out. So that's a little interjection right there. I have to actually sneak under here to grab some tools. I guess I should have had these out. To keep everything in distance of my hands, but I didn't know it was going to be underneath. So, you know, I have this thing's been used forever. It's just a tap that I use. It's a 5/16 taper tap. Actually, this is a plug tap, you know, to take out the channel liner, and this is an insertion tool. It's probably a decade old. I should probably change that up. But anyway, so let's open this up. You guys should know how to disassemble, you know. And now, look, I'm just not going to go yank this out. When I take it out, I'm going to kind of go slowly, so I can kind of, yeah, I can already feel it's, there's like a, I don't know if you guys probably can't hear that, but there's a lot of friction there. So when I pull this out, I'm going to just inspect it. I'm going to make sure that my end coil right here was not on the, you know, on this, like how we always talk about the spring cups splitting the shelf. So basically it could look like that, how that end coil was splitting the cup. I'm going to make it exaggerated more, sort of like that. Hopefully you guys are able to, I don't have Wick today filming, so see that. If I bring it in a little bit closer. All right, like that. That's not what you want. Sometimes when that phenomenon is going on where it doesn't want to let loose right there, that's what's happening. Sometimes it's going to be debris. It's going to be debris inside of here. So let me take the barrel out of this quickly. And that's another thing. So also when you go to take out your extractor, It should kind of just want to, you know, drop out of there. You see this is not, okay, there it did, it fell. Oh, this is all coming out real easy. So basically, there was a little bit of hesitation, but for the most part, it fell. Now when I inspect this, it does have some, same thing we talked about in my other, like, you know, I mean, it's very, very fine powder, you know, so, and then, oh, this is a good one. So here on the extractor, is that carbon buildup, which is right there. So I'm going to get this focused in here for you guys. Push that out of there. I don't know if you can see how it's scraping out. Yeah, there you go. It's on my thumb. It's kind of hard to do by yourself, but, and I would use a better pick. You know, this is kind of like a flat. I was kind of using this as a punch, maybe a toothbrush or something like that, which I don't have within my reach right here. Fingernail or whatever to clean that off. That's very important that the hook of the extractor is free so it can actually grab the rim of the casing. Okay, so with that, we're going to dump out the firing pin, and we'll kind of inspect that. Once again, you know, it's dirty. So, couple, you know, just get a rag. Heck, I'll get my rag on me right here. I'm just going to kind of wipe that down. And I'm going to put my, actually I'm going to back this back out because I'm missing some stuff. All right, but then I'm going to, and you can see my my spring kind of stayed in there, so that's kind of wondering why that did. And it's just because, like I said, it's a little bit dirty. So basically, I'm just going to clean this area out. And inspect it just to make sure there's not a ton of crap in there. As you can see, oh yeah, you can, lots of, you know, copper in there, brass in there rather. So, and I always go all the way through into the firing pin channel right there with my Q-tip to try to clear out the, once again, you can see, let me see if I can, everyone says go like this. Yeah, that did work. Look, there. So we do have a lot of those. That's what's keeping that, that's what's not letting that move freely. So I'm gonna spin it up again, just like I'm making some cotton candy here at the fair. Drive that back in there. Now that's the third time and it's still coming out. So this time I'm gonna go in this way. And you can see it in there. Just gonna spin it. Wow, that is a lot of brass. So it's no wonder that the I'm trying to keep this in you know, as much as I can in focus. There's no wonder why, and there's still more. Come on, let's get back in focus. There's still more. So this is really, really, really got a lot of brass in it. And if that's the case, I wish I would have had one of those, you know, longer Q-tips that have the kind of like the wooden thing on there. Because now what I'm having to do is, just because I don't have the proper tools, and I really want to get the, okay, so now we're clean. Okay, so that's pretty much unobstructed, and I needed to get more pressure in there against the inside of the breech face to do that. So I'm going to give my papal blessing on this as it being nice and clean. So when I go to install the parts that I got, and I'm just going to reinstall my parts because you guys hopefully you guys get the point. So, hey, this is my brand new Johnny Glock firing pin safety, like this. This is going to be hard with the camera. I guess hey, I lucked out. Pushing down on that with my thumb. I'm going to recapture it with the extractor. Okay. Actually, someone just called and I was able to decline it without it ringing. I was smart enough. Okay, so that's going to go back down in there. Remember, metal to metal, all the Glocks. This metal piece to the metal piece of the plunger to the metal piece of the extractor. It's a good way to remember things. Polymer of the bearing to the polymer of the back plate. All right, now, just to see, I'm not going to do anything to this. Actually, I'm just going to wipe it. I'm going to wipe it down a bit. I'm just going to wipe it down. Now, I want to reinstall this and see if we can get that to drop. Now, see, there was a little bit of, even when I put this back in, let me back it up. When I put this back in, there was a little bit of resistance right there. So just as a diagnostic, I am going to reinstall that, and now we're going to see, oh, look, drop through just like a champ. I mean, it's dinging. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So, haha, proof in the pudding. That's why I say when you guys take, it's important. You know what I mean? When you're, and this way I don't even have to change out the firing. This way, now I know if it was still doing it, the next thing I was going to do would be change out the channel liner. Okay. And with this one, as you can see, I don't know if you can see on this, but with this channel liner, it's a white channel liner. I do, like I said, I do like the, no, there's no way. Oh, there you go, white right there. So I do like the Lone Wolf ones, even in the OEM guns. So basically, if I did have to change this, once again, let me change this camera angle. If I did have to change this, I'm going to do the old trick where I'm going to use the firing pin's going to go in there, secure. I'm going to pull down here on these cups, and I'm just going to pull up and capture both of them in my fingers. Swap out the spring, put that spring back on there, pull down. And the best, what I do before I pull down, I really look at where this is. I like to keep it at about 1 o'clock. So if I have it about 1 or 2 o'clock when I pull down, and I know for a fact that I'm going to put these here, you know, or you can hold it at noon, depending on, you know, I just like to be able to see it. I'm going to know when I do slip these both in, that when they are captured, they are going to be captured without offsetting the spring cups. Okay. And then of course I'm just going to, I like to just massage this in a little bit just to make sure it's on there really well. And I'm going to install that. Okay. Reinstall it. And now, voila, your slide is complete. And recheck everything. Like I said, it's dropping real nice. So everything's really good. A little bit of a hitch in it. Now it makes me wonder where that's coming from. Now why did that happen? You can see just a little bit of change. I'll try it again. Because like I said, the name of the game is you want it to freely move. Yeah, look, it's not. There's still a little bit of something going on there. But you see how, like, you know, had I not checked it again, I would not have known that. So basically, hopefully this comes out with ease. Sometimes they can be a total pain. All right, so I got it out. I'm just going to replace this. I'm going to inspect it, and as you can't see, we'll see there's a right there. You can see where there's a good amount of wear, and if I look up in there, I can definitely see some wear in this. So I'm going to insert my new one, and usually there's a mark on that mark right there denotes it's going down. The bevel goes down. So I'm going to get this, actually, get this aligned up here so you guys can see it. Sometimes it's hard. Yeah, this one's being a little... So this one doesn't even want to get started. And you can see it's starting to crimp right there. So I'm going to grab another one. And like I said, you got to work with what you got to work with. So basically, if it's not, if it's the only one you have and it's not installing, then you can sand it a little bit just to get it started. But I'm going to grab a hammer, and what I'm looking for is a metal to metal sound. So when I do start, and sometimes I usually do this with my hand, but oh, dang it. So everything fell out because I forgot to capture these. I forgot to capture these parts right there like that before I did this. That was very amateur move, man. That was very bush-like. But you hear the ding, so that means I'm hitting metal on metal, which means the metal collar of this is hitting the actual inside of here. So once again, now I'm going to have to, and this is one of those things where, thank God, let me put this down. Thank God I did not lose, because this is what happens. This is when you're going to lose the spring cup and you're going to be like, oh my God, I have to find this thing. So mistakes like that, you just don't want to make often. Same thing here. Insert this, keep it captured with my thumb. Drop that in there, make sure it's captured, make sure the plunger is butted up against there. Now we're going to drop the firing pin back in there. Hopefully I can get this back plate on. And now let's see what happens this time. Okay, once again. So, good video. I like when stuff like this happens in the video. So once again, we're done here. Now we're done. Now we're done. We thought we were done. We weren't done. So that's that. Actually, I'm going to take my shirt off now because I'm starting to break a sweat with all this vigorousness. All right. So next is going to be, and this is my this is my 34. So it's going to be simply, you guys hopefully know how to punch your pins out at this point. I think I had the slide lock out on this. I already took the slide lock out earlier. I don't know where that got off to. But it's around here. So I might even have it swapped to another gun because this gun is down right now. But so as no, it's in there. What am I doing? Oh my goodness. So basically, same thing. I'm checking all this out as I'm taking it apart. I'm assessing as I'm taking it apart. I'm going to pop this out, feel how it comes out. I don't want it to feel like a scrape or anything like that, because that's a giveaway that you're using some cruddy ammunition or that you're oiling. You'll see oil all over here. Don't do that. Don't oil it. Like I said, I've already gone through that before. You can see how much grease is already in there, mixed in with the, like I said, the fine powder of the gunpowder. And I'm going to assess this and kind of look at it. This got a good amount of round count on it, but I have a video that talks about slide, frame, and prep. I don't think I put across there in enough. I don't think I got it up. The way that looks like you need to prep in your slide and frame before you get my trigger. I'm actually doing what I was kind of talking about in that video, because people get the assumption that like you need to prep your frame prior to. I should probably change the name of that video, but I'll probably not, because there's probably some algorithm. Never mind, I'm going to stop there. So basically what you're doing is you're looking for signs of wear. Now I talk about that demarcation, and you can see there is a little demarcation there, but it's not anything that I'm worried about, because there's not like, it's just a mark. It's not demarcation, it's just a little, of course there's going to be a mark there because it's rubbing up against there. If it's something that's tail, believe me, you're going to know it. You're going to run your finger across there and you're going to feel something. Okay? So that's the main thing. If there's nothing going on there, then you don't have to worry about doing anything with the outcropping right there. If you are going to do something with this outcropping, and if I was changing to a new trigger kit, that's the most I would do right there. I really wouldn't go crazy with cleaning the crap out of this, even though the polishing on this is done. It's polished where it needs to be polished, the way it needs to be polished in the most important parts. this right here. This kind of is like, I'm not going to say it's show and go because it has its you know, processes for longevity, but the most important parts are that we've talked about are the vertical extension, the radius of the trigger bar, and the sear. So basically, and actually this part right here where it's actually rubbing on off the outcropping. So you'll be able to feel if there's those markings on the trigger right there on the radius of the bar, you'll usually be able to feel corresponding feeling right here when you slide across this that it's edgy or there's an issue going on there. And with that, you really don't want to use, I wouldn't say use a sander. I would say use you know, like a felt like this, you know what I mean? And just not, all you're trying to do is knock, let me get this in here. All you're trying to do is knock the edge off or something like that. You can even use like some now you know what, unless you have 5,000 grit, don't mess with it. I would just use a felt and just kind of go back and forth just to take the edge off of the hard edge off of something. You understand? So if there's a hard edge on something right here, it's going to catch. Whereas if it's rounded, it's going to be less to catch. You know, it's going to be less to cut in. So that's basically there. Also, the other place to look is going to be on this right here. You'll sometimes see demarcations, and I think we talked about that on video, you know, from the outcroppings here, but I don't really see anything telltale. That's the most that I want to, you know, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to say this is fine. This is okay. You know what I mean? There's nothing here that's really saying you need to address that. Also, you know, part of that whole thing is, you know, when I build these, there's kind of a standard. So the standard is, and you've seen my transfer bar video, the standard is that I usually, when I'm building these, I want the corner of this to be touching against there. So I don't want it like that. Hopefully I'm not, okay, I don't want it like that. I don't want it all the way out there. I kind of want it right where those two corners are touching. The inside corner of the connector and the outside corner of the housing. Capiche? Now there is an instance where if you're pulling the trigger and it's acting like a squirt gun and you've already done the adjustment back here that we'll talk about, then the problem could be that this needs to be, for your particular weapon, pulled out more. So basically there's two ways you can do this. You know, you can just pop it a little bit out there, and usually I'll just, you know, I mean, you know, with these ones you can just yank them out. Or you can, or if I need to go in more, I'll stick this in right like that, and I'll use that as a fulcrum and push in to get it to bend a little bit further in, because I want the bend to happen at the actual bend. I don't want to be bending the shaft of it. So that's a consideration if you have a squirt gun, or if it's called jumping the channel. Now, if you have it, now if it feels weak, if you want a stronger reset and it doesn't feel like it feels like a little more spongy than you want, especially with the combat trigger, that's when you're going to bend it out. You're going to bend it out to get out there like that. So basically, when it is resetting, it's bam, it's shooting back over, and it's going to shore up the tension in between these two parts. But you don't want to push it out so far that you start having you know, interfacing problems with the outside of the frame. So it really is, there's a whole video I have, it's called Transfer Bar Drag, talking about those relationships. Okay? So basically, man, I never have enough time. I haven't started at 2. I'm going to drop this new Johnny Glock trigger in here. All right, going to get it down in here. Now, when I do this, when I do my initials, I don't put that in there, which is called the slide. I don't put that in there, the slide catch. I am going to show you what happens here, just so you guys, because I get this a lot. I can't get my slide off thing. I'm just judging from where the position of that set screw is, that it is not going to break. But that's me. So I'm going to install this, and there is a stall in the brake, so I'm going to go pull and then see how the brake actually stalls. Well, it's not doing it that bad, but if I push down on the top of this, still it's clean up a little bit. So basically I'm going to let me create what I'm talking about. And there is a video that I have. It's called Over Travel Set Screw or Over Travel Stop. Basically, I'm going to put this in. Now, like I said, I'm going to change my mind here. I don't put the slide lock in. I'm going to tell you to put the slide lock in, because that's the only, unless you have tools, this is the only way you're going to get this slide back open once it locks up, because you're going to have to lock the slide back and then take off the back plate. Let me get this All right, so now we're back in. We're back in here. I'm going to put my slide on, and it's not breaking. It's like a squirt gun. It is not going to break. So there's two things you can do. You can either get a jeweler's screwdriver or an owl or anything like that, and you can insert it inside here. And what you're doing is you're pushing, so pull back on the trigger and you're pushing down on the cruciform. So what's happening with that is I'm pulling back on the trigger at the same time I'm pushing down like that. That's the mechanism from inside there. I'm pushing down so it releases the striker. The striker goes forward. Secondarily, if you don't have that ability, which is that's the easiest way to do it, lift this up. You're going to have to lock the slide back. Okay, then when you're doing that, you're going to have to have a couple, you're going to have dexterity for this. So look, see, still checking that. You have to push down on there and take the back plate off. Okay, and then that way you can pull the striker out. And then once again, you don't even need to worry about breaking the trigger. You just have to take the slide lock, release that, and now you're back in the game. That's how you do it. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in there. On. Now, it wasn't breaking because what's happening, the mechanism of what is happening here, let me lower this. Mechanism of what is happening is you're hitting this, the cruciform, the perpendicular bars of the cruciform are hitting this stop before it has enough time to drop the striker. So this has to be backed up, okay? And usually it's about 3 threads for like the competition kits. So basically, and I do this with every single gun. Every single gun I calibrate after it's tested before it's sent out to you. That's the last thing that happens, and it gets repolished. So basically now, it's breaking clean. But the reset's a little bit long on this competition model as far as I'm concerned. So I have the break, but if I want to get a little bit more out of my reset, I'm going to dial it in just a little bit. So I'm going to take it in about a quarter turn. Drop it again. So that's barely breaking. So, but the reset's a little, see how it's barely breaking again? So now I'm going to have to fine tune that, and it's going to change when the magazine's in there. It's probably going to change after 100, 200 rounds just because that's the way polymer kind of settles. Everything finds its level like that. So that's basically it. So there's your install for the competition trigger. But what I want to talk to you about is the profile of this new shoe. So basically, if you're a shooter and you sweep low, this really is not the best trigger for you. You can see how my finger's hitting that. Now a lot of shooters, like I use my fingertip. Now if you're coming in on your fingertip and you're kind of sweep, like some guys will sweep off the top of the guard like this, as long as you're doing that and you're landing on your tip, you're absolutely fine. See what I'm saying? But if you're more into your knuckle and you're sweeping low, you can see how this has the ability, it's going to want to catch. See how it's catching right there? Because I'm way far on my knuckle, I'm not depressing this. So these are the nuances that are different if you're landing on your pad and you're sweeping even higher in the middle. But if you come low like this, some people do. You know what I mean? You're going to have issues. So I'm trying to be as transparent as possible just so you can basically see. All right. Another thing will happen is if this is stopping about right, say it's stopping about right there, that usually means you're sandwiched in the back there as well. So you got to bend that connector in, and that'll give it the ability to move out. But as you can see, you only need this couple, like the width of a sheet of paper between the back of this trigger safety tab and the frame for it to move. Now every single one of my competition triggers, I relieve. I mean, anything that has a flat base shoe, I relieve this right here, so you have more room for it to, to go forward. Whereas this is a standard shoe, I don't have to take any of this. You can see that's raw. That's exactly the way it is OEM. But since I have this off anyway, what I do is I sand that down and smooth it down. So therefore, as far as this moving forward more, it has more ability to move forward, thereby giving you more room back here. A lot of guys in Poly 80s, if you have that issue with this where it's just not wanting to, come forward, or the trigger is stuck inside there just because of tolerance issues, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to actually take this out and remove material from here to get it to, see if you can see the mechanism, it's stopping it there. If there's less material here, it's going to be able to roll forward more. Okay. All right, we're at 40 minutes, man. This is getting long here. All right, so now we're gonna go. This is a combat. This is the JG shoe. So basically the flat base shoe. I'm gonna just put this in so you guys can see the difference of the nuances that I'm talking about. And I did do a faux pas. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I broke the trigger without actually checking it in that last segment. I can tell that I'm under the camera restraint, so I should have went like this before I broke it to check it, but okay, so that's a combat. So basically this is very different. So you have a nice stout wall, so it doesn't matter where I land on it. If I land low, super low, see I'm here, if I'm coming in a little bit, whatever. This is why I use this for the combat kits, because I don't care where you land on this, you're going to depress it no matter what. Whereas the flat base shoe, and you can always when you buy, you can always say, hey, I want the combat kit, but with the, you know, I don't want the hybrid shoe, I want the JG metal flat base shoe. But it comes standard with the hybrid. So this one, even if you have this one and you do sweep high and you want that new hybrid shoe, you can say, hey, I want the hybrid shoe instead of the JG flat base. But it's the same thing with this. So yeah, this has more over travel than I want it to have. So once again, I'm going to dial it in. And that's how you do this. So this is so we're dialing it in. Now I really don't have a video, I think, of me dialing it in. So I'm dialing it in because I want this reset to be as short as possible without compromising the brake. So, okay, still I can still get a brake out of it. Now look how it's gotten a lot shorter. I can still push this, I can tell, just by I feel a little bit of over travel. So what I want to do is I want to push this out again. I'm going to turn it in another quarter turn. This back in like this. Now, see how short the reset is now? Much shorter. I could now what I do is I push down on this to see, okay, see it's still braking since I'm pushing this down, because what I'm doing is I'm changing the slide to frame relationship. So I can get more out of this. So I'm going to try to go for it just to see. Do like another quarter turn. That's probably less than a quarter turn that I did right there. Now let's do it. Okay, so see, I got into a tug of war right there. It wasn't, see, yeah, you see the stall like so. I got to squeeze. That means I've gone too far. I've maxed out the ability that I have. So now what I don't want to take it back to where I had it. I want to take it back to where I had it and then just a little bit of a turn more, because in case sand or dirt or anything gets in this gun, I want to make sure, since it is a combat weapon, that it is going to fire no matter what. You know, if you're talking about a pristine competition gun that you keep clean and all that stuff, you know, it's a different mindset. So basically from here it's braking, and now here's your reset. I'm going to push down on the top of this to make sure it's still braking clean. And that thing is tuned in. Nice stout wall, snap. Reset brake. So that is the difference in between. And that's one of the main things I wanted to show you guys, the difference in between the two shoes. Like I said, this is the competition model, and this one in here is the combat model. Now if you have the standard shoe, I'm going to run through that really quickly with the trigger that I have here, because I could easily see this video being an hour. All right, so let's put mine in there. Now here's the issue. This is the pre-travel set screw for the OEM shoes. I'm going to dial this in because it's going to have too much. It's going to have not enough pre-travel of it. Now most of these drop in, and you guys are good to go, because I really do err on the side of I want that thing to snap out no matter what. But if you put this in, put it together, and you can see the trigger safety tab is not popping out. It's stuck up in there. You don't have your first line. That's not good. Do not adjust these, because you can, to where that's not popping out. So your first defense is gone. Your first defense is gone, which is your trigger safety tab. So basically you're going to want to pop this out, pop that out. Same thing. You're going to dial it back out. If you want a little extra pre-travel, you can do that too. So I dialed it back out to where it was. Sometimes when they hang up too, you can dial a little extra pre-travel into, and it kind of like gives it a little bit of momentum to swing back out if you're having issues with it coming into return, because of it being, you know, sandwiched back here in between the frame and the radius and the connector. So now when I put it together, you can see it's got the trigger safety tab is now there. Like, so when I pull back on either side, it's stopping. And there's not a, it's not, like I said, a couple widths of sheet of paper between this and the back of the gun. Hopefully you can get that, let me get that right. It's really hard to get in that lighting to see, but basically you need to make sure that that's coming out and that's grabbing. Okay. This probably has a super short reset. Yeah, this is one of my, this is my, so you can see right here, you know, it's me. I love the stock shoe. I'm just so used to it, you know, and this is my competition model with the stock shoe, and you can see, like, yeah, wow, that beats the pants off the flat face shoe. But then again, maybe it's just because of my gun. Who knows? But they're all going to drop in differently, you know, and that's a consideration as well. So, holy goodness gracious, we are at 46 minutes. Thank God I actually made extra time for this, because I'm sick of being late for my son's. Well, actually, he's not boxing today, so I got a little bit extra time I can play with. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's given you some insight on some things. You know, that's always my aim. I think the part with the slide and the firing pin was probably the highlight of it all, just to see how that whole thing happened. The dialing in is another aspect of it. You know, the fact of, like, the little cool trick of teaching you how to get the slide off and all that. There was a lot of other stuff I was going to go into, but you know how it is. Once I start with these, I get as much information as I can in there before you guys, I won't say fall asleep, but anyway. So here's a new segment I'm going to do. I thought this would be cool because, you know, everyone's like, yeah, I want to hear the podcast, blah, 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 you know. I'm going to start a segment within Functional Friday. So in the comments, if you guys have a question you want to ask me unrelated to guns, because I usually answer the questions that are related to guns right there. If you guys want to ask me a question, any question, you keep it, you know, it's a family channel. You know, I like it. You can tell I'm just a gentleman. I really don't swear a lot at all. I think it's one of those things where people are paying attention. Just for me, okay? It's just for me. I'm not going to go into it. But anyway, ask me a question, and I'm going to answer out of the comment sections. I'm going to pick like 3 or 4, maybe 5, depending on the answers to them. Questions, and then the very, you know, like, so whoever asks me questions this week, next week I'll address them. I'll say, okay, it's time for the segment Ask Johnny or whatever. I don't know what we're gonna call it, but anyway, I just thought that would be cool, and that way you get to know me a little bit better, because this is a pretty cool interface. You know what I've learned, I always used to say I'm not a YouTuber, which I still say, like, I'm really not a YouTuber. I do this because I'm just driven. It's my passion, and I love safety. I want you guys to be safe, but at the same time, you know, it's cool. You got to spice it up a little bit, you know. And since you guys don't know a lot about me, and I am one of those characters, man. I think you can tell. I got some, you know, a little bit of panache in there. Little got some stories behind me. But anyway, if there's anything you want to ask me, go right ahead. And you know, I'll pick a couple of those out, and I'll throw some funny shenanigans out with it and stuff like that. And yeah, that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Like, subscribe, share, and all that great stuff, and enjoy your weekend. Remember, and I don't have Wick, so I'm going to do it anyway, trigger control is control. Now I'm going to pretend I'm Wick. I'm going to turn it like this. This is going to be so bogus.